Start. Okay. And then I'm going to, all right, everybody's in here muted. Yes, yes. And y'all are in my lavender room. And I'm so excited to have something in here. I had to bring all the lights, all these crazy ring lights in here because it's so dark. I'm surrounded by trees, and it's my favorite place to be. It's the only way I can get away from dogs and creatures is in this room because I can close the doors in my old house. And I've got my cocktail of choice. No pressure for anybody to drink or consume anything. But I needed it today, and I'm not ashamed to say it's called a Merle Garita. It's a homemade margarita crafted by, yes, my husband Merle. We take blueberries that we harvested in our little urban backyard and we mix them in with some jalapenos that we also harvested from our garden. And then we just throw a bunch of tequila in there and margarita. So, cheers. Thank you all for coming tonight. And we'll jump right in here. Let me just get a little sip. Mm. And first things first. Before I truly jump in, I know y'all are going to think I'm weird. I really don't take myself very seriously. If you know me, you already kind of know this. I'm saging this this webinar. uh, if you're not familiar with saging, it's just a way to sort of cleanse the energy in your space. It actually can clean like bacteria out of the air too, if you're a science nerd. But I like the smell, and it also just helps us get into the attitude of we're not going to feel guilty and weird about money anymore. Like we're gonna get rid of that. So you are now saged. You are cleansed. You have to do nothing, and it smells really good. Okay. Enough being weird. Okay, so let me get my little light fixed and everybody just sit back and relax and let's do this thing. All right, light on. You already know I'm Amy. I just want to start by saying thank you so much for spending part of your evening with me. Whether you're completely new to investing or you've been putting this off for years, I'm just super glad that you're here. Um, Before we jump in, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a registered investment advisor and managing partner at BF Anderson. Um, Excuse me one second, y'all. My light is driving me crazy and there's a fly in here. And thank goodness y'all know me. So, boop, come on, light. Okay. So, I am a registered investment advisor at a family firm here in Baton Rouge. I've spent more than 15 years working with individuals and families, growing wealth, investing their money. But if you know me outside of work, you'll also know I'm usually happiest hiking a trail or rescuing animals or hanging out with my three dogs and husband. I'm a big believer that life is meant to be lived, not just, gotten through. And honestly, that's what investing means to me. I've never really been one for chasing like the big bank accounts and the big balances. It's sort of about creating choices, ultimately buying freedom, the freedom to retire on your terms. Everybody thinks it's all about everyone's different and what their goals are with money. But I want to be clear on something. Money and wealth and building wealth are not the answers to happiness and joy in your life. Do they make things easier? Absolutely. As a financial advisor telling you this, I mean this because I've on both sides of this. I see a lot of people that have more money than you could ever believe, and they go broke. You know what I mean? Or they just spend it because they're so unhappy. So make sure that like the source of your joy and happiness comes from people, memories, experiences, not just chasing essentially what you view as like, okay, now I have everything. Now I've got the six figures. Now I've got this and that. It doesn't end up being what you think it's going to be. However, we still have to participate in the bartering system. We still have to create options for ourselves, especially as women, because as many of you know and grew up knowing, women are taught more to save than we are to build business. There's a fly in here, to build businesses or to invest. That it's not a sexist thing, but I talk to so many women that, real estate agents, attorneys, people in every type of business, and they're running circles around men, other because they're mothers, they're wives, they're business owners, they're just doing it all. But for some reason, they just feel left out of the equation. They feel not invited to the table when it comes to growing your money. And it's not this big mystical trap either. So I'll get more into that. It's a lot more simplistic than the industry wants you to believe. I've only learned that because the past 15 years I've sat in rooms with PhDs and people that far surpassed me education wise, mathematicians, you name it. I've sat next to them and felt very intimidated. But then at the end of the day, those are really not the the backgrounds that you have to be successful doing this. I, you can be able to do numbers all day long, be the smartest person, be an ex aeronautical engineer in wealth management, and you still can not figure this stuff out because it really comes from like a behavioral place of not overthinking and not just like stressing yourself to the point of not doing it, just giving up. So, anyways, okay, light, fly, get out of here. So, it's freedom is what we're going after. Freedom to retire on your own terms, to spend more time with family, maybe to volunteer, to say yes to the things that matter most to you. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's why I created the Fiscal Box, because I believe that financial education should feel approachable, encouraging, empowering. Look at all those E's, not intimidating. And we didn't learn this in high school. They don't really teach personal finance. Even finance majors don't learn personal finance the way they should. And women, I mean, we believe we have to know everything before we can get started on stuff. And so, whether this is your first time learning about investing or you've been telling yourself that you'll start one day, I truly believe you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And so, I want to set the tone for tonight besides the saging. I really don't want this to feel like a boring finance webinar. I hate that. I want it to feel like we're sitting around a kitchen table just having a casual conversation about money. So even though I muted you all, use the chat, ask questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. If you're thinking it, chances are somebody else is thinking it too, and they'll appreciate you asking, even if it's a personal thing. Just feel free. I don't want you to think tonight is about becoming rich overnight or learning how to be an investing expert. I'm also going to have more of these monthly webinars, the first Wednesday of every month. That's what I decided to keep myself accountable and wanting more people to just learn and ask questions. And we'll do different topics every month. And so you're always welcome to come and join those. I just want you to leave tonight feeling just a touch more confident than you did before. And if that happens, then this was worth it for me. But before we really get into investing, like specifics, I actually want to talk about something much more important, and that's stories that we carry about money. I'm going to read a couple phrases, and this is where you can interact if you want or not. If you've heard any of these phrases growing up or even as an adult, I want you to type a one in the chat, okay? So here, I've got these written down for me. Okay, money doesn't grow on trees. Your dad probably said that. We can't afford that. Rich people are greedy. The stock market is gambling. You're going to lose all of your money. Uh, People like us don't invest. Um, yeah, basically those. Okay. And of course, they're the ones I knew. I mean, I'd be typing ones too. So I like seeing all the activity, but not because I believe that those beliefs are true, but because it reminds us that we're not alone. None of us became adults with a blank slate, especially a blank financial slate. We inherited beliefs, not because our parents wanted to hold us back. most of them were doing the very best that they could with what they knew. They gave us a good work ethic, um, values, resilience, love, but they may have also sort of unknowingly passed down maybe a touch of fear, scarcity, um, just worry over money, right? Because of how they grew up. So children don't just inherit hair color and eye color, they inherit, belief systems. But the great thing about that is that beliefs can change. You can change them. Uh, so if this is about, confidence, if confidence usually is the thing that stops you from taking action to do something, how do you fix that? So I truly believe it's a mental wiring, almost a neuroscience type thing, but we won't get too crazy with that. Um, some more things that I've heard from people, tons of people, clients, friends, whatever is these types of phrases like, I'm too late, I'm too old, I don't make enough, I don't know enough, I'll start after I pay off all this debt. Oh, and I'll start when I'm more confident. But there's like something I always notice when I hear this, which is like the same words, which is like, I will start later. And as cheesy as it is, you know that later usually means never or just years or when you feel worthy enough to do that. It's like we only allow ourselves to do the things we want to do when we feel worthy enough. And that's all in our brains. So I have to bring in my own personal side to this. So I don't just teach this stuff, I've lived it. There was a season in my life that I truly would love to forget, but it's helped me become the person I am. But I went through a divorce when I was younger. I also got engaged again to the wrong person, and I sort of thought that was going to be my forever. But for a long time, I looked at all those experiences as failures. But eventually, I realized they weren't, it didn't mean I was broken, right? It was just a chapter in my story. And the fact that I was willing to move on from those things meant that I believed that I was worthy of a better chapter in my life. And that was really powerful when I finally was able to flip the script. So have you ever noticed like friends and other people in your life that are struggling when they start over, you're like, hell yeah, like you get it, that's awesome. But when it's you, you don't know how to give yourself that same grace. You'll say, like, I'm too inexperienced, I'm too far behind, I've made too many mistakes. And before you know it, you have talked yourself out of the the future that you actually deserve and have earned. So if you wait till everything feels perfect, or if I had waited until my life felt perfect, I would have never remarried to my best friend. There would be no fiscal fox. There would be, I never would have gotten on Instagram and made my goofy videos that embarrass me all the time, but I just do it. And it's kind of fun too. But I know that nobody remembers my first video or my first draft. They just remember that I show up and that I'm consistent. And so, like tonight, I almost postponed because like there was a thunderstorm, and I was like, I'm just gonna say the electricity went out or something because I was like, I need this to be perfect. I want everybody to feel something when they walk away from it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, you're doing exactly the thing that this is supposed to be about, which is like, stop waiting until you feel ready. Like, just do it, just go for it. So, you just we never realized there were already enough to start things, right? Okay. So enough of all the yapping for a second. I actually want to share my screen with you, and I want to talk about something called compounding. I know I'm just flipping into that, but I'm not going to weigh you guys down with too much boring financial jargon tonight, but some of you might be like, "Oh yeah, give me more of this. This is what I like." So I'm going to share my screen. Stop. Alrighty. And we are going to go to this super sexy calculator. I go to NerdWallet quite a bit. I actually have a calculator on my Fiscal Fox website, but I like this better because you can do more with it. Cheers. Okay. So we're going to use a couple examples here. And first off, if you're a visual person, I know we're all from Louisiana, most of us in this group. Imagine a snowball that's rolling down a hill. And as you know, like an old Snoopy cartoons or whatever, the snowball would like get going and it would pick up new snow and it would get bigger and bigger and then it would run over Snoopy like at the end or whatever. So that's compounding. It's when your money is growing and whatever growth that you've gotten off of that money, now there's more growth growing on top of that growth on that money. So it's just like this hopeful growing snowball that's rolling down a hill. That's compounding, just explained as if you're a child. But I mean, really, it's the best way to explain it. So let's pretend, hypothetically speaking, that you all have a Roth IRA or you're going to open one tomorrow. And let's say you have the max amount that you need to fund it. So you're going to open one at Fidelity or Charles Schwab. 7,500 is the max you can put in currently if you're under the age of 50. You can put an extra 1,000 in if you're over 50. But like I said, I'm not going to get into all the details of that. Just focus on this number with me for a second. So 7,500, let's say that, mm, let's do 5 years of growth because I really want you to understand the point of this is about time. Okay, 5 years, and we're going to give it an estimated 10% rate of return because historically speaking, that's what the stock market returns. And then let's pretend for the next 5 years you're going to be good steward of your account and you're going to max it out every year. Whether you do that monthly or in a lump sum, doesn't matter. Let's just pretend, okay? So you're going to put that in annually, and here we go. Hold on. Okay. So as you can see here, with only 5 years, this blue line this is like towards the end of it here, going from now until 2031. You have put in a total of 45,000 and you've made about 13,000. It's not terrible, but this is sort of pointing out the fact if you are waiting too late or you're like, I'm gonna need that money in 5 years, this may not really be like that impressive to you, right? So you're only making about 13,000 in return, hypothetically speaking, off of what you put in, right? So let's add some years to that. Let's go ahead and jump up to 20 because realistically, I'm going to tell you, you want about 10, 15, 20, 30. It's just hard to get people like in their 20s to get started. I didn't really get started till I was 30, like seriously started. So 20 years, let's pretend the same thing. You're going to contribute every year over the next 20 years, and let's see what you get. Okay, check this out. All right. So you have a total balance now of 500,000 and all you contributed, it's still a good amount, was 100 and about 60,000 and you made more than double of what that is. You know, you made $350,000. There's no other type of thing out there that can give you this type of return. Does it have volatility? Sure. But if you have time, it's not about always picking the right investment. It's about, do you have time to recover and then enjoy another nice upswing before you have a downswing? Do you have time to go through the ups and downs of the economy and the market? If you have 10, 15, 20, 30 years, hell yeah, you do. And you should absolutely take advantage of it. It's one of the best things we have in the United States is being able to invest in the stock market. And anyways, so this is what that can do with just putting away 7,500 a year. And like I said, yeah, it's 160, but let me show you what that would look like. And I swear I'll move on. If this was a savings account, a high yield savings accounts, which you all need to have instead of just a savings account that returns 0%, because 3% is inflation. That's where you keep up. So let's just say you're like, no, I'm scared. I don't want to deal with the stock market, Amy. Like, I'm going to lose all my money, like my dad said. Okay, we'll go ahead and put it in a 3%, the same mathematics, 7,500 a year for the next 20 years. Okay. I mean, I would prefer, so that's, you put in 157,000 and you made close to 60,000. Well, when you invested in the stock market, you made like 350,000 off of that. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not meant to be a trick or anything like that. This is not, I'm not trying to sell a product or a thing. This is time tested historical data and it's still true to this day. And that's why there's so many of these financial influencers out there trying to like get their hooks into people because they know in a way that this is how you can essentially not have to get another job, not have to go buy a rental house and put sweat equity in order to make more wealth happen for you. Okay. So hope that helps. Like I said, we can do more questions at the end. So back to me. Okay, so we went through that a little bit, and I hope that that made sense to y'all with compounding. So now you can sort of understand what time can do for you. It's more important than anything. Um, but what are you actually trying to build with it, right? Um, Retirement isn't really about reaching one magical number. It's about creating enough income so that work is not a necessity, but an option. Um, you want to be able to picture your future. And I want you to really picture it. I want you to really think about it tonight, tomorrow, whenever. Like, do you want to travel more? Everybody's always like, I want to travel more. Do you want to spend time with your children, your grandchildren, your cousins, your nieces, whatever? Do you want to volunteer with dogs? Yes. Do you want to spoil your dogs? Yes. Do you want to start a small business maybe that doesn't require you to just kill yourself to make it happen? That's what we're investing for. It's freedom. These are all things that give you quality of time and freedom. Um, it's not guarantees, but it's definitely something to pay attention to, you know. So that's what we're really looking up. I'm going to share my screen again here. We're going to look at one more thing, sort of bring this all together. Okay. Do, do, do. All right. And I made this. Don't judge it, please. Okay. The big screen Canva. Me and Canva. I swear everybody loves it, but I'm just okay. I get asked this question a lot. So the compounding calculator, like that gives you an idea of like how much money you can try to make off of a certain amount, right? But when a lot of people are actually like, hey, no, tell me what I need to have in order to live the certain lifestyle that I want to live. Right now, based on statistics and data that I read, this is sort of what we're looking at. And I don't want this to freak you out or scare you. Okay. Like this is also an approximate of what you might need because it's not taken into account Social Security, assuming that we're going to get those benefits. It's not taking into account that you'll probably be totally debt free at the age of 55 or 60 or 65. You know, like hopefully you're not still paying for a home or cars or your children or whatever. Hopefully life is a little bit more simplistic at this point. So are you somebody that can live off 40,000 a year? Are you someone that can live off 60, 80, 100, 120? And then you might also have a partner, a husband, wife, friend, someone that's living with you that's contributing to like your lifestyle and everything. So it's keep that in mind. But, realistically, I mean, a lot of us could be okay between 60 and 80,000 a year. I mean, I know I could because I'm just that's where I'm aiming. I don't want to like overdo it, but if I can retire with $2 million and then also maybe the cherry on top get Social Security that we've all been paying into for decades, that would be great. And so this is also tied to something called the 4% rule. So all this means is if you have $2 million at the beautiful age of 65 and you want to be able to live off of that 2 million until you're 100 years old, you're thinking about, okay, I can withdraw 4% of this 2 million every year, and this is essentially the income that I'm going to get to live off of. So it's kind of going from the back to the front with this analogy, just kind of showing you what that can look like. So hopefully that helps too. And if you want any of these slides, I'm more than happy to share them with you. Stop sharing. And that is it for slides because I'm gonna be honest, I hate a slide, but sometimes you need the visuals. Um, I hope nobody panicked seeing that. It's a lot, it seems like a lot of money, right? But nobody wakes up with $2 million, right? I mean, some people do, but most people don't. You have to build it, and that's one big or small contribution at a time, and the market can really play a role in that. So this is exactly why starting today really matters. If you begin in your 20s, time does so much of the work for you. But if you begin at 40 or 50, it's still absolutely worth it. You simply have to save a little bit more because time has less opportunity to do that lifting for you. So I'm not showing you these numbers to overwhelm you. I'm showing you these numbers because I want you to understand why waiting has a cost. So, just keep that in mind. Please don't let that stress you out. If anything, it should make you feel good because it's totally possible. Uh, I'd like to leave you with some truths tonight. I've thought about these a little bit. I had to narrow them down. So, one of my major truths that I always come back to is time is a bigger advantage than talent. Okay. Confidence does not come before action. Confidence is built because of action. That's a great one too. I was impressed that I came up with that. Wealth isn't built through extraordinary decisions. It's built through an ordinary decisions repeated consistently over time. I can't believe I remembered that. So before we jump into any talking or chatting type stuff, I wanted to share sort of how we can stay connected just because it's due diligence, right? So I created the Fiscal Fox because I believe that finance should be approachable to everybody, whether you are to ever become a client of mine or not. I genuinely want you to just feel more confident with your money because you deserve to. My first encouragement is simple: keep learning. I don't care how old you are, keep learning. I have free resources. This is a free resource right here. And like I said, I'm going to keep doing this until I don't want to do it anymore. And also my weekly newsletter, if you get that. Sometimes I have little nuggets and tips and tricks and things in there that really can help, and you can just save those and go back to them. Monthly webinars, my Instagram, I kind of play with TikTok, but most of my stuff's on Instagram because I'm an adult. Please keep using those resources. That's why I created them. Uh, but some of you may still be thinking, like, I don't want to figure this out by myself. I don't have time. Like, Amy, like, this is all great and everything, but how can you help me? And I would love to help. Like I said, I'm a registered investment advisor and I work one on one with individuals and families. I create investment strategies based on goals, timelines, and I help people build. I take it off your shoulders. And, like I'm the one responsible for your future at that point. And I help educate you throughout the whole experience, obviously. So if you think that's something that would ever benefit you, I am happy to schedule more time to talk more about that. But whether or not we ever work together in that aspect, I hope that you'll continue showing up. I hope that you will keep reading. I hope that you will keep learning, keep asking questions. And my mission really, y'all, is like, it's not about just growing my business. Like, that's great. But I really want people, specifically women, to believe that they are capable of having options and freedom and that they belong in the investment world just as much as anybody else. So just take a deep breath and imagine meeting yourself 5 years from now. And, which version do you want to meet? The one who waited and waited and waited and was like, darn it, I wish I'd done that? Or do you want to be the one that finally began? And maybe it was messy, maybe it wasn't perfect, maybe you lost some money, but you learned and you actually ended up coming out on top because of that. Your future self is not going to care which way you start tomorrow, today, whatever. It's just going to care that you started. So before your little head hits the pillow tonight, I want you to make yourself one promise, okay? Or a couple promises. Maybe it's opening a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. Maybe it's increasing your 401k contribution by 1%. Maybe it's just actually reading my newsletter that I put out every Thursday. Or maybe it's simply deciding that I'm done believing that I'm too late or that I'm not good enough. Um, it's just one small step. That's all I'm asking. So if there's one thing I hope you remember tonight, it's this. I hope I get this right. The best time to plant the tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time to plant that tree is today. So plant the tree, and your future self, she'll thank you when she has that shade, you know? So thank you all so much for spending your time with me. I mean, this was over quicker than an hour. So, I hope you're not sad that we're already basically done. But just remember, if you have any questions, I can unmute. You can unmute yourselves, or I can unmute you, or you can type it in the chat. Because if you're thinking it, maybe someone else is too. And we could just sort of go from there if you would like, because we have plenty of time. Otherwise, you can just get back to your wonderful lives and we'll catch up another time. But I will tell you that actually I'll throw a question in on my own webinar. So I talked to two ladies back to back this week, which was fun. They booked me through my Calendly, which was awesome. And some of you in here referred me, which was great. I really appreciate that. And both women were so interesting and so different. They were about 10 years apart in age. One was like, I would say, probably late 30s, and one was mid 40s. Both were very financially solvent, like they had their lives together. But the lady that I spoke to today, she was more than ready to go. Like she didn't have any debt to speak of. She had she had one job that was like her solid current job, and then she had like sort of a real estate type thing going on the side, and she's like killing it, right? But she just wants to know that there is like an end of the road moment coming, because you're in your mid 40s and you're just like, okay, like I'm tired. What's going on? What am I doing everything the right way? And so she had a good amount put in savings, and she's like, I just love to look at my account and see that it's all there, but it's too much probably, and it's only earning like 0.012. So I was like, girl, you need to immediately, without a shadow of a doubt, and all of you can do this if you don't already, go open a high yield savings account. Like I could scream it to the heavens. Like it literally, they're paying you to just put your little money right there, and they're going to pay you 3 to 4%. And that's not a great return, but it's keeping up with inflation. Because if your money is not making at least 3% anywhere, it's losing money because of inflation and taxes. The cost of coffee today is not the cost of coffee in 10 years. So most brick and mortar banks don't offer high yield savings accounts, but banks like SoFi, um, Ally, I've used both of these personally, had good experiences, pretty easy to do. Some of them require a minimum balance, some don't. Ally is like probably the most like straightforward, easy one. SoFi, I think, has a little bit more competitive returns that you can get on your balances. Just remember that like saving your way to retirement is not the easiest thing. You probably have to work longer to get the type of growth compounding off of your money. So just remember that. But anyways, she opened a high yield savings account today, which was awesome. And then she decided that she was going to go to Fidelity and open a Roth IRA and then a separate brokerage account because she had enough to where she could put the maximum in a Roth, and then she still had extra. And I was like, put the rest in a brokerage account and like get going. And the funny thing, sorry, I'll end on this. The funny thing she said was, I have been investing. My ex from 5 years ago got me into Robinhood. Like he just wouldn't shut up about it. And he opened a Robinhood account and I gave him 5,000 and he invested it. and I had to like keep my eyes like straight. I was like, don't roll your eyes, don't roll your eyes, don't roll your eyes. And I said, okay, cool. So is he still in the picture? And she was like, no, he's an ex. And I said, all right, then. So you're going to take that money and you're going to move it to a place where you can see all of your accounts and you're going to invest. You're going to do it. Why did he do it? Like great on him for bringing that up to you, but you're fine to do it without him. So, anyways, it was just an interesting call, but she didn't have a lot of the fear stuff. She just had taken that first step of like opening accounts, but like didn't put any money in them. Like didn't put any money in them and didn't invest them. So those two steps are usually what everybody gets sort of like, do I need to talk to someone? Like, do I need to read a book? I have the Roth IRA open, but it's at zero and ugh. So, anyways. Okay, let's see a question here. I'd love a webinar about health savings accounts. Would like to know more about those. Hell yeah. Oh yes, I love a health savings account. We will definitely, that's on my list actually. Um, Everybody here under the age of 50 or 60 that's in good health, you need to know about health savings accounts. They're essentially like a unicorn investing account. Like they're tax deductible. You can put up to like 43 or 45, 4,400 in them. And then anytime you pull that money out for doctor's visits, dermatologists, medications, sometimes supplements, things like that, it's all tax-free withdrawals. And so you're getting a tax deduction up front off your income, yay. And then you can put it in this little container, and anytime you're using it, and it rolls over every year. Like you don't have to touch it if you don't want to, and you can invest it, and then when you need it for like maybe an operation one day or maybe whatever, it's all tax-free withdrawals as long as it's for medical. But I'll go deeper into that in another module. But it's a great, not really talked about tool in investing, and with people living longer and us like being able to, we're going to live longer. These HSAs, they're great little tools for healthy people. Um, okay. I'm curious about what you think about the current market. Are you concerned at all that we are in a bubble? Um, I can never tell the future. I'll always tell you I don't have a crystal ball on that. I read charts. I try not to look at the news too much, which I know might sound like not the best answer, but I'll give you a quote from Sir John Templeton. Okay, he's a famous investment advisor, and the quote goes something like this: Most people, bull markets die on euphoria and bear markets die on euphoria, meaning when everybody is in the market and it's your neighbor, it's your cousin, it's your coworkers will not shut up about how much money they're making in the market, whatever. Typically, that's when I get nervous. That's when I'm like, all right, there's too much hype, there's too much energy, everybody's like rushing towards it type thing. I don't really feel that right now. In fact, I feel people are a lot more what's called bearish, which means like negative, sort of nervous, fearful. And that's either due to the constant back and forth stuff with the news on Iran, or it's just because for the past 3 years, the market has returned double digits back to back to back. And everybody's like, is this sustainable? Is AI doing everything for the market? Because really, when you look at it, everything that's pulling the market forward from the past 4 years is like artificial intelligence and technology. So is that sustainable? Is that the future? Is it another dot-com bubble? I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's more. I think the teeth are a bit longer on this. So hopefully that answers your question. But bubbles typically cannot be predicted. They're when you least expect them, but usually it's not when people are kind of like, eh. It's usually when they're like, get in the market, make money. What are you doing? That's usually when I'm like, all right, something's about to pop, or we're about to go into like a down market moment. But if you have time in the market, none of that matters. You can outlive it. You can get through it. And I mean, even the 2008 crisis, the dot-com bubble, Going back 50 years, there have been so many big drops in the market and it recovers every time. It's all about timing, it's all about risk management and you know, just sticking with it, not being silly and silly about it. So, those are good questions. Okay. I'm excited about those. Like that. All right. Anything else? I don't see any more things popping up. Y'all are awesome. Please get in touch with me. I'm gonna send this recording playback to people that wanted to come and to everyone that did join. Keep a lookout for next month's webinar. Maybe it'll be about HSAs. Maybe it'll be about Roth IRAs. Maybe it'll be about what do you do when you're walking away from a situation in debt? Like when should debt be more important than investing type stuff, figurative type things. And then we can get into deeper stuff as we go on. Just think of this as like an education program and you're going to get a little certificate at the end. So, okay. Thank you all so much. I hope y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you for tuning in. You're the best. Um, Kisses, kisses. I'm so happy to see all the familiar faces. Thank you guys. Y'all are awesome.